Hello, hello. Tanya and Norma with Adventures for Connection. We're having a good laugh because I'm having some computer challenges. I can't see Norma's face because it's covered up with something I can't close. So we just thought we'd share that because it's kind of funny. So we're super grateful to be here. Hello, everyone over on Rumble. Hello, Tango. Hello, Ellen. How are you? We're super excited to see you guys today. Remember, this is your opportunity. We have something important to show you today, but this is your opportunity to ask us questions. So whatever's going on for you, what's happening, we're going to talk a little bit about tinnitus today because that seems to be the theme of the theme going on is tinnitus and ear ringing and crown zipping and what energies are going on for you. What are you feeling in your body right now? Please share with us. We would love to hear from you. And Norma Jean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Just like you said, we've got something to present today that between the collaboration of you and I, we was able to come up with hopefully a visual to assist the ones here that really want to grasp what tools and the guides, what it takes to be able to understand where to begin. Um, where you're at, and in what steps it'll take to get you where it is you say you want to be or to go. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to get that presented and see what impact it has on the ones here that are so beautiful and so wanting to just join us in every part of every adventure that we're embarking on.
absolutely. Every day is a new adventure. This is, we talk a lot about setting yourself up, and it's up to you to set yourself up. We were having a conversation earlier in regards to the fact that when I'm toning and I'm doing um, I like to use the bowels for toning. And so I'll be outside, I'll be in the car, I'll be upstairs, I'll be in the shower, and I'll start just toning, but it's bringing the sound from here. And Norma Jean, do you want to repeat what you said earlier or something close to?
Sure. Yeah, there's so much to this, and it's even as I continue to gather information to obtain this knowledge of that everything has an order to it, and there is a specific order that is the original order to things. And when you come to understand that all this is everything outside of us is a metaphor. However, in that metaphor, what it does, it reflects what was or what is within us. So when it comes to the tones that we speak, a lot of us coming into this world the way it is, or it was, is that we just use the tongue, and a lot of when we speak should always come from in this area here, because this is where you invoke before you evoke the word that you are mastering to speak, so that way it becomes manifest. Or you're just casting spells, and you really don't understand what it is that is taking place, because you're not using the right tone, the right frequency for that tone. And as the information that I'm gathering, I'm understanding that I've spoke to before, and I'll continue to reiterate: you are the word. The word comes from you, and when you are born, you are the word. And a cry, the very first word you speak is the cry that you have. And that right there is, that's the big bang. That's your big huge lightning bolt that takes place. And because when we come to manifesting, and when we come to birth, when we come into this world, that's our first word, is our cry. And it's that cry of, I'm here to see what this world has to offer. And so that's when you become. And in that, the child cries from here out. So as this goes along, it's all about me understanding enough to be able to bring this information to everyone here, and anyone that will watch this in time, that I definitely want to be able to verbalize or vocalize or convey the message in a way where it's understood as it should be to know how to traverse this world along with the other world, that, this is very powerful stuff, and we are very powerful beings.
Right? Beautiful. And so maybe I'll give you guys a little example of this. Normally don't do it without other noise, but so there's toning, and you can do the different levels within you. So think about the song that, no, I don't even know if it's really a song, do re mi fa sol la ti do, right? So you're actually toning in that song. So I just tend to use the vowels. Ooh, ah, ah, ee. And so you can play around with that and bring it up and bring it down, and it will adjust your energy. Okay. And I'm also about to do a bunch of videos on quick morning routine that I do, so you guys can all have a similar experience, hopefully. Right. And one of them is working on that toroidal. And my girlfriend saw me doing it, and she's like, "Where did you get that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just started doing it. I was just guided to do that." She's like, "That's an ancient dance." So I hit on something, right? So we have these memories to pull from ourselves to use these things. So you have lots of ways of toning yourself. I'm just going to add this to the stage. There we go. I really wish I could close this little box, but oh well. Okay. So Norma Jean drew this up. She was doing arts and crafts. She worked really hard on it, and I'm super proud of her. Do you want to go ahead and run everyone through this? So, oh, and don't forget to please like, share the video, give it a thumbs up, share it, and make sure you comment even after the video in the comment section for us to get us out there more on Rumble or YouTube, wherever you are, or Facebook. Okay, beautiful. Thanks, guys. Go ahead, Norma.
All right. So, this is probably the simplest or basic way that I could present this information to give everyone here the general place of where we're coming from, so to speak. As you look at this, I have a cross, and then I have a circle with a triangle in the middle, and off to the side, I have the levels of I forgot the book of our vibratory states. Okay, and this is from Power versus Force. So what I want to be able to do here is explain that the world at the time that we were born into a world of a religion that talks about the Bible, that tells of Jesus being on the cross, and so these are the gods that we were taught and to understand. So as I have gone through this process myself in self-discovery, remembrance, and things like that, it just begins to dawn on me that, this is about knowing who's in control of your life. It's either something outside you or it's you. And in this process, as I'm going through this, I begin to understand that the last thing I ever thought the cross represented was that it was something that you put yourself in a position of martyrdom in. And that is basically sacrifice. And as you can see, even the word martyr, the definition I have written underneath it, if you really understand the words that conveys what this means, you really will be able to understand the significance of what this is defining. And what it says is it's a person who sacrifices something of great value, and especially life itself, for the sake of a principle. So when we look at this definition, when you're looking at something of great value, I've spoke to this before, where you are the value. Once you're born, you're considered currency. That's the reason why you end up with numbers. So there's so much to this, but I'm just, like I said, I'm hitting on the basics. So you are of great value. So when you were born into the world that it was, as I was, as Tanya was at this time, the big push at that time was God. And in that, it was the Bible that was being presented at the time. And so when you come to understand what a martyr truly represents, you don't want to be a martyr. Because if you look over to the side and you look at how I have this set up, the reason why we're having so much difficulty in understanding what it takes to change is because we were born into a level that was between 220 and then all the way down to 20. And these are your vibratory states. As you can see,
yeah. Can I just add something to this so that people understand a bit more? Okay. So that's perfect. And so where is this scale from again?
This is from Power versus Force. This is your scale that you utilize to understand where you're at in your understanding within as a vibratory state. This is David R. Hawkins.
Yeah.
So basically, this is kinesiology and understanding.
Yep.
That.
Yep. And so then let's relate. The top section is actually think about your root and your lower chakras. That's where they want, because then your lower vibration, right? That's where they want to, that's where we're trying to be kept. And what we'd really like to do is obviously be on the other side. So what Norma is showing here is, this is why she keeps saying, get on your throne, take control of yourself, of your body. And so by doing that, we take our sovereignty back. And that is the mission for this, and raise your vibration. And so she's likening it to the cross because it's been used for thousands of years, like as you bear the cross, right? You're bearing the cross. Okay, go ahead, please.
So, of course, just to touch upon that, when you bear a cross, what you're doing is you're bearing the burdens of the enslavement that we were born into. And that's the reason why they have the system of that they've had in place with money, the way that it's set up for so long. Even though it's changed in how it's been presented, I can only speak to the here and now of when I was born up to this point. And so when you look at this, I'm not downplaying that religion exists. It will until it just doesn't. Because like I said, there's a lot to this. But what I'm trying to point out here, in Master pointing out here, is that from the level of having yourself on a cross, thinking that being a martyr is what is noble or what is, good or anything like that. When we take good and bad out of this, all we can do is go from frequency levels, energy. So when you look at energy and you see that the 20 to the 200, these are the levels that we have been fluctuating at for so long because of what we was born into. So what I'm showing here is what we're in the process of doing right now is taking what you see and flipping that. As you can see, the big arrow that's off to, I can't even tell. I guess you would say right now this is to the right of me. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to flip this. Okay. So as you can see, the 200 level is what has been considered the level of integrity, which puts you in the position of courage. Courage is what promotes change. So when you become courageous in sitting down with yourself, getting to know who you are, having that ability to take the dueling aspects of self and understanding them as much as you possibly can as you give yourself that time, because what you're doing is that's the reason why it's so important that you always set aside time for yourself, because then what you're doing is you're putting value back into you and away from the system that you were born into. So when you look at this and you're in that martyr level, then as you can see, you've got shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride. So these are the levels that create anxiety, because these are the levels that create the duality within us, where the body is being what it's being, and you have the spirit that's trying to get you to hear that, what you're doing to the body is oppressive. So as we go along in this, as we've been talking about this, when you look at the circle, life is a circle. It is a compass, because this is where you have your measurement in weights. Your measurement is your bounds, and then in those bounds you are measuring your weights by how oppressive and how dense you bring yourself into giving how you feel at any given moment. So in order for us to take this and to switch it, we must start vibrating at a higher frequency by always speaking to ourselves from a loving place. So from that place of courage, you move to neutrality. From there, you go to willingness. And I can speak to this because even before I even read this book, I was already on this path, because I had to get to a place. I had to sit down and say, I got to have the courage to face myself, much less anyone else. So in that, I had to have a neutral position to be able to listen to what it is that was going on in my mind. And where the mind sits is the temple. And that temple at that time for me was running amok, because I had so many things that was running through it that you would call them your minions. And so as I began to sit down with myself lovingly, understandingly, in just seeing the push and the pull and all that was going on within here, I began to realize and recognize that as I was able to calm those minions' voices, I began to hear the words of encouragement coming through. So you have to have that neutral position with yourself first. You've got to sit down and not have a judgment about who you are, where you've been, what you've done, choices you've made, because this is a school of lessons. So when you begin to do that, then what happens is when you sit in that neutral position long enough, then you'll be able to hear who you are through all this, because then that's where you begin to weigh the choices you have made in this life up to that point. And you begin to come at it from a place of acceptance. Okay. And you accept that, okay, I've made these choices. I didn't feel so great about them about this time, but given where you were coming from, being on a cross of martyr, sin, all this of what we was taught, it's understandable. So once you move to that to acceptance, then you come to reason. You begin to reason why you made those choices. And that's where, you begin to put forth that effort to want to gain the information that it takes for you to understand how to do that even better. So from reason, you move to love, joy, peace, enlightenment. And this takes time. This is something that doesn't happen overnight. You've got to sit with yourself and see yourself fully. You've got to be brutally honest with yourself, but not so brutal to where you're beating yourself up and putting yourself back on that cross. So you see, this is what this is about. We're getting you off the cross so you can get in your temple, clean your temple out of your minions, and then move to your throne to see who sits upon it and tell them to get off. This is your time. So as you are doing this and you're going through those higher levels, what then you do is you begin to build this better force field around yourself to protect yourself from, those outside forces that may come in and influence, the journey that you're on within yourself. And this force field is your toroidal field. Your toroidal field is what creates that force field, because what you're doing is you're raising your vibration, which is just the natural, is a natural state of protection of self. Okay. So what we must do and must understand is, because of the left brain and the right brain, you've got the left brain, which is your masculine, the right brain, which is your feminine, and they cross. Okay. So that's the reason why the triangle is so important. Excuse me, is because this is your meeting place. And the reason why it's a circle is because when we talk about just the 7 chakras, we're not even going to go into the 9 just yet. But when you talk about the 7 chakras sits here. And this is where your throne is. This is where your table is, where you sit down with the feminine and the masculine part of self And you find that balance, because what happens is when you begin to understand that this is us in this human form, because the human form is your kingdom. The human form, the vessel, the ship, the avatar, this is your kingdom. It is yours to rule. It is yours to lead. It is yours to guide. And when you come to understand that and you empower yourself over time, then what you're able to do is you're able to take this process and flip it, and your meeting place comes here. And as that continues on and you raise your vibratory state, then you begin to see this world as it is, because in order to see this world change, you got to see the change itself first.
Yeah, absolutely. So does anyone have any questions? Does this make sense to you? We've got comments over on Rumble. You know what, Tanya? If I close my eyes as Norma's explaining, it makes sense, like being in another world. Awesome.
You're being in your world. It's yours.
Yeah, exactly. It's your world. You're just going inward. You see that? Inner world. Beautiful. Luna, must be a great message. Laugh out loud. Phone rang, cat stuff, etc. This sounds so true. Yeah, absolutely. And Ellen's getting it great. Cindy says it makes sense. Awesome. Lou says breaking the program, learning to love and accept yourself. Abso-friggin-lutely. We like abso-friggin-lutely. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I'm just waiting for Leanne to get back to us. She's got a comment about something else, and we'll come into more of those. Janice says, yes, hello, Janice. How are you? So good to see you guys. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Do like and share. And if you comment on the video, especially after we're done on a live chat, it would be awesome to put a comment under there, because that helps with the algorithms. And remember, we're on many other platforms. So I do lots on Instagram separate, TikTok separately, over on Facebook. Well, Facebook and Instagram are pretty much the same. So yeah, go ahead and follow. Awesome, Susie. We're glad it makes sense. So this is reminding you guys that you have to start with you. And we've said this many times, but we wanted to give you a visual to go with it, because we really felt that that was kind of missing. And so absolutely, to make sure that, to get out of those lower levels. And I can remember, feeling a failure used to slam me so hard. Absolutely. I had the complete, I'm not good enough. My dad used to say that you're never going to amount to anything. What a way to subconsciously program us, right? And then, then my response was to fight back, like, oh yeah, I'll show you, but it's not necessarily the best way either. What you want is balance within the body, balance within the mind. And what you really get out of this is you get to raise your vibrations and connect mind, body, and spirit. And when you balance your feminine and masculine, it's the most beautiful thing, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, this feels really good. Oh, I don't have monkey mind anymore. Then you start to go, why? What's going on? But it's just, you've trained your mind to calm down. You've trained your mind to not be like that. You've taken control of your mind, basically, right? And you're reprogrammed your subconscious so that you don't have that program running anymore. Yeah. And beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And Eckenbro, Ellen, I'm so happy for you. Awesome. Turning over a new leaf. Good. Absolutely. So can we talk a little bit more when we're talking about the force field? That would be the toroidal, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. And then how does that relate to the infinity symbol?
So that's where you and the masculine, the feminine, and the higher aspect, when we begin to reverse this process. But let me state this first. Do understand that these lower vibratory states don't go away. They're there to assist you through this life, to let you know that if something like this shows up in your vibratory field, even if you're feeling great, all it is just a, hey, whoa, you may be overstepping your bounds a little bit there, or you're infringing, or you're crossing the boundary. So to get back to what you were talking about, as we are going through this and we are reversing this polarity, okay, so to speak, we're taking ourselves from being hanging upside down to turn ourselves right back, so right side up. And so as we do this, and we begin to come together with the three, with the bigger part of our being, then what we're doing is we are taking the three and we're creating the ebb and flow, because what the infinity sign means, there's no stopping. And what it is it creates a balance. And where the infinity sign crosses, that means that's where they all meet. So when you look at the human form, you meet here to form the understanding. But when you get ready to hit that infinite sign where they cross, then you're moving down to the umbilical cord, where you're able to embody through action the understanding of what you are, raising your vibratory state of the knowledge that's turning into wisdom, where you embody it so the body knows. So when you look at that, and you in like at this point, because we're coming from that martyr position, and we want, the reason why our bodies hurt so much is because of how we feel, because we're in a lower vibratory state at some levels, and we have to move out of those vibratory states, so that way we quit embodying the lower levels of that vibration, as we begin to be kinder to ourselves, more loving to ourselves, sitting down and having these conversations with self, that we begin to embody those greater and more better feeling emotions, or words spoken to self, because we're raising our vibratory state. And as we do that, then the body begins to respond to that over time and say, hey, this does feel good. Hey, I'm waking up and I'm not feeling as achy. Wow, I'm waking up and I'm not feeling so overwhelmed. So what you speak to, because you are the word, you are the word first, and the words you speak to yourself are very, very powerful. Then when you begin to understand this, and begin to really understand what we're here accomplishing, is that each day when I open my eyes, I tell my body, thank you, body. You've given me another day to be able to express myself, to be able to see what I'm capable of, to be able to see this beautiful place in the many different places that I can visit, to up level that much more. Thank you for coming back to life. Thank you for coming live for me again, for you've given me another day. And this right here shows that in where I'm at, I am appreciative of my kingdom. My kingdom are the individuals of my kingdom are my cells. And for each organ I have within my body, it represents a planet, a star in the cosmos. So as we go along in this, and we're able to bring about this information a little bit over time, because it takes time for this information to come out. The greatest aspect that I want you to understand is, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's time. It's time for you to know your value. It's time for you to know your worth. It's time for you to embody this as you do this and go along and understand your value will raise, and you'll be so much more worth than any piece of paper you hold in your hand that's got a number on it. Your worth will be beyond your imagination. Your currency will flow, and it will flow so abundantly and so purely and so freely, that then you will begin to understand that all you ever had to do ultimately was go with the flow. So this is what Tanya and I so want to be able to provide y'all with, because we got here in our own way. All we want to do is provide you with ways that, hopefully propels you or triggers something of a remembrance for you as we go along.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we're trying to give you this gift of getting to know you, so you can fast track this, because the energies right now will allow for this.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't have to take years.
No.
It does not, but it will take your effort. We can't do it for you. Yeah. And Janice is saying the struggle is real, the need to be perfect and to be a pleaser and not letting others down. So I can speak to that because don't give your power away, right? It's not for me to please somebody else.
No.
It can be a gift to do something kind for someone, absolutely. But
Yes.
when you are looking externally from yourself and looking to others to fill your cup, to love you so that you do things for them and you have this love expectation back, you're actually giving away your power and your energy. So somebody else's reaction or response to me is none of my business. And that was a tough one for me because I was definitely like a bit of a rescuer. I'll help you. I'll help you. And then but you're constantly giving your energy away now. Gratefully, I have generally a ton of energy. So it wasn't that bad for me, but it would leave me like, oh, some people just drain me and I couldn't do it anymore. So absolutely. So keep that in mind. And Luna, I was in meditation 2 years ago, and an entity came up behind me and whomped me on the head. Weird stuff has been happening ever since. Yes, the toroidal field or aura field feels shattered. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Luna, for. She's asking about her fractured field.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you get with that, Norma?
So here's something I can speak to about that, so you have greater understanding. I don't know where you were at 2 years ago, but given what you experienced 2 years ago, your toroidal field wasn't as strong, which means at some point you might have had a battle going on where you didn't know how to feel. So you had emotions going, all over the place. You didn't know how to feel about this. You might not know how to feel about that. You didn't know what it was going to take to, strengthen yourself. So as our toroidal field is weakened, what happens is these entities that have been spoken about and that have existed at at certain times and levels, what they do is they come in and they see where that weakness is, and they can come through and create a hole in that toroidal field. So what happens is that you've basically got holes in your toroidal field because you've not been able to release what emotions or feelings that we've carried with ourselves over time, because that's what weakens our toroidal field. Because if you look, even on this level, fear is at 100. Okay, so that's not a very high vibratory state. But if you understand that for each emotion, because you got to understand, you go from emotion in the lower field to motion. In each emotion, like desire, anger, and pride, if you look at it, even though it seems as though it's not, these are not the greatest aspects to feel, what it's doing is at this point, it's empowering you a little more. Because as you can see, anger is at 150 compared to fear being at 100. So what you're doing is you're doing what you can to empower yourself to make a change, which leads you to pride, which pride can be, some of those difficult times and situations for anybody to ultimately deal with. But look where pride takes you. Pride eventually takes you to courage. And from there, what you do is you begin to move to a higher aspect coming from that more loving and gentle place. So as you're doing this, you're going to take that toroidal field and you're going to start healing those holes, so to speak. So as you're going along, as long as you're understanding that if you have a willingness to the acceptance of the things and the choices that you've made throughout your life, and you're able to do that through a place of reason, then that creates love, because then you begin to understand why you made those choices. And when you begin to understand why you made those choices at any given time in your life from where you were, the only thing you can do then is love yourself, because you're like, you know what? You're right. I did the best I could with what I had. And this is where I'm at. And I love myself for that, because I made it through. I made it this far. I've kept moving forward. Whatever it was that it took for me to keep going, for me to make it to this place to say, I love you. That's what you're working towards. To love the being that you are, to understand the being that you are, and to embody it in this vessel so you can experience yourself. experience the world that you are and to create it and manifest.
Absolutely. And so one of the, yeah, well said. Yay, Norma. You did a great job. I know you worked really hard on this. So yeah, we'll make sure we put this into the Telegram group. And if anybody wants a copy of this, we can get it to you. Just reach out and let us know how to best get it to you. And so this aura field, and talking again to Luna about this, you can work on your energy field. Absolutely. And there's some meditations that we've done for checking in on that. So if you can get onto the email and that I sent you in the chat there and come on to one of the healing sessions, I can run you through that so that you get a custom one for you. And then we'll get you building on that again. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Tango says, I wish I had half a Norma's brain. Dude, you have your very own brain and you got a whole one. So, she is this learning machine, in my opinion. She has this ability to consume information, whereas I can only consume so much. And then I got to go move my body and shift my energy and embody it, so to speak. And she's embodying because she can travel and connect, and she just gets it like this. She'll come in from outside and go like, whoa. So she gets so much information because her connection's so open that way. Yeah, absolutely. And Norma's only using half of it. The other half is tied behind her back to make it fair. That's from Bob. Beautiful. Yep. Okay, we're going to take this down and come back into some awesome. Took a picture. Perfect. Okay, so this is something she created just for you guys. So definitely check it out. All right. We're so grateful you're here. Hello, Sassy Cindy. Hello, Arlene. Yes, Arlene would like a copy. No problem. We'll get you a copy of that. Yeah, absolutely. And remember, we do have live healing. So if you go to the Adventures for Connection, let me put it up for you guys because I can do that. I have the power. There's the website. And so if you go on there, you can sign up for emails, and we do weeklies. I'm due this week to do the weekly update, and it'll be probably the portal video going out. So I do have a portal video Thursday morning at 8 a.m. We have David coming on tomorrow afternoon to have a quick chat. We've got some things to share, and we would, there's so much on the calendar on the website. So we are live more often than not, or I am. I'm online quite a bit. I was on with Sherry on TikTok this morning live, Serafina, that is. And we've got guests. Patricia's going to come in on Saturday. We're going to have Adventures for Connection on Saturday instead of Sunday. We have a ceremony on Sunday that we're hosting, and we're very excited about that. We really enjoyed our last one, and we're good to go again. So make sure you're signing up for these things so that you can stay on top if you choose. That's up to you. Anything live will always go across the platforms. A lot of things that are happening just on TikTok's kind of standalone. So I'm going to be doing some more lives on there, and I'll get those posted as they come up. I know I've got one coming up with Cameron, I think on Sunday morning. And Cam does card readings and past life stuff. So he's very cool. I've known him for quite a while. He's always given me good info. And because Janice said, I'm loving your cards, I pulled a card for you guys for today. And look how fitting it is. It's strength. And so inner strength, you've got this. You've got the ability to do this. And notice the infinity symbol above her head. So strength with self. Strength to be able to put herself first, right? And when you're in this balanced position, you would be surprised what happens with nature and animals and how much you can connect with them in this way, right? And think about a mama lion cub, right? She's very loving to her cubs, but somebody tries to hurt her cub, she's going to take them out. So, you do protect yourself in that way. Absolutely. Thank you, Lou. Lou says, great show. Thank you, ladies. You're welcome. We're really here for you guys because this is our mission. We're working on some things right now to take that drawing and start to add in different teaching courses that will be like little online videos for you guys. That's one of the reasons we're going down to Yucatan, is to do creation. So we've got 2 weeks of just creating stuff and being in this beautiful space and having some experiences, and you'll get to come along with us, of course. Absolutely. Cindy says, I'm a mama bear. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I think most mothers are at the end of the day. And so if anybody's interested, we do have a retreat coming up in Yucatan, Mexico from February 1st to the 8th, an opportunity to get fast tracked through this for a week. So basically, we'll be taking people through this process, getting really specifics for you. All right. And I know there was, and we'll see if she comes back on. I don't know if she popped out. Leanne, if you want to reply to that message, I'm happy to tap into that a little bit more. And then let's talk about the tinnitus. So there's a couple different types of ear ringing. One ear ringing is like it comes in at a high pitch and then goes back out again. So every time I get one of those really high pitches, it's like, for me, that's a pay attention. Okay, what's going on? Look around, especially if I'm driving. It's like, be aware, something's going on, right? So it just makes me pay more attention. And then if I have tinnitus in this ear a bit and it's constant, it's very low, but I've had it for quite a few years. It's basically, I believe, it's ear damage, right? From listening to probably a concert at some point too loud, right? Or music too loud. And that can happen too. So for the tinnitus one, we'll work on that. So there's something that, Norma Jean, do you have anything to add to the tinnitus?
So the one thing that I've come to understand is it's changed for me over time. I've had ringing in my ears for quite a few years. And, even at the time that it began, I chalked it up to, well, this is from listening to loud music with a big boom box in the back, just jamming down the road, that's just who I was, at the time. And I love bass. And because bass is a lower tone, of course, you're not knowing you're doing as much damage to your ears because it hits a little different. However, I've always had extrasensory hearing. So much so that if it was quiet and I didn't, and before I started having the ringing, I could hear the mechanisms in a clock. So as this has gone along and as time has gone on, especially probably in these last 3 years, the ringing has come and gone, and it is like it fluctuates. And as I continue to embody more and more of my knowledge and understanding that's turning to wisdom, I'm beginning to realize and recognize that I have equated the ear ringing to vibration, to the frequencies. And what it is to me is the frequencies have risen so much in these last few years, our bodies are trying to acclimate and catch up to this all of a sudden influx of different or higher level frequencies and vibrations and waves that hasn't been here for a very long time. So that's because, like the other day, I think it was last night actually, I had this one ear that rung on me, and it was as you were having a conversation with Jade, and it just really just was like, wow, and it like kind of felt like it closed up, and it was just ringing, and then it opened back up, and that was just for me, to me it was okay. I need to pay attention to this. Not because it's that I needed to pay attention to the conversation. It was more of paying attention to, I feel at that time, the energy in the frequency that was taking place because of the conversation that was being had. So that's what I get for myself. For any and everyone else, it may be different, but this is what I'm equating to the knowledge that I'm understanding and collecting as I continue to take that knowledge, and becomes wisdom for me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So from knowledge to wisdom, again, it's one of those bridges, right? And you can always ask. So, and I do believe like this one rings mostly when it's super quiet, and I don't find it annoying. So, but it definitely goes higher and lower. And you're right. For me, that's a like, pay attention, click. Or some people say it's your guides trying to reach you. Well, and I always say, if it's a message for me, please tell me in a way I can understand. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and if it's getting louder, guys, there's frequencies online. Oh, what is his channel? Hold on one second. I'll grab it for you guys so that we can share that with you. It's one of my friends, Alpha Aura Healing. So let me, and I'm sure he's got some just for tinnitus. So, and so these frequencies he's created, and he does a lot of them. So descriptions and times, let's see. Alpha, I'll put it in. Alpha Aura. So check it out. This is Jimmy Davey. He's over in the UK, and this is on Rumble. He is also on YouTube, and I'll put it in the other one. And then he's got a descriptions. Yeah. So there'll be a whole bunch of different ones. He's got sacral, solar. He's got the different chakras, third eye. And so he's created these, and I'm sure he did one for tinnitus because there was a conversation about it. So they're just beautiful healing frequencies. You could try that one for that. And yeah, some for ascension. Like he's got a whole bunch in there. Leaky gut, right? So he's got a ton for you guys, and I'll put it in the other chat too. So that you could try for sure. And I definitely know that those are good frequencies, so to speak. Okay. So you can check it out. Yeah. And it may assist you. So yeah, check and see if that is something that'll work for you. Are there any questions for us? Does anyone else have any questions? Because it would be really cool, because this inner collective is really for you guys to come on board and ask your questions that you have for us, anything that's going on for you. Something came up the other day that was interesting, grounding mats. So somebody's using a grounding mat.
I'm not sure I understand.
Somebody's using a grounding mat, but I'm like, oh, but you're not grounded. And so then I sent him outside because he sent a picture of the sun and beautiful sun in the snow. And I'm like, that tree over there wants a hug, because you can just go and hang out with the tree. And so his feedback after he did it was quite phenomenal about how much energy he felt. And I was like, yeah, nothing's going to replace a grounding mat over Mother Nature, ever. We are electromagnetic beings. We can't use something artificial. There's no artificial sun that's going to do what the sun does, right? You can't equate it. There's no man-made water per se that is going to replace natural water with the minerals and stuff in it. So to remember that nature, we are nature. Everything we drink and eat and breathe comes from nature. So, and yeah, absolutely. The frequencies. So Luna's saying, someone told me years ago, HARP was up to stuff when my ears were wacky. Very possibly. But the more that we go, oh, we blame it on that. Well, okay, whatever. But let's take responsibility for what can I do about it, right? How can I work on it and heal it? And absolutely. A copper rod in the ground. Absolutely. You can also do copper wire to your bed, right? So you can ground your bed for when you're sleeping at night. Now, I definitely get outside and ground, and I'm in nature a ton, but I'm by nature, my being is very, very grounded. I'm like this big, huge container that can hold information and keep an entire, I don't know, I could probably do 1,000 people and keep everyone in my container, so to speak, and support that. Because Norma's been with me at an event. She's like, yeah, good container, right? Because I control the energy within that room. I'm responsible for the people in there. So I'm going to make sure that nothing can choose to come in. Nobody can remote view. Nobody can step in and affect us. Nothing can be done that will affect us in there. And so when we get to this state, like, I don't have issues not being grounded, whereas Norma does, because she's traveling so much. Bing, 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 bing. And then I can look at her and I'm like, oh, yeah, you better get outside in bare feet. Yeah, even if you don't want to. All right. And yeah, Susie, hugging pets can be grounding. 100%. 100%. Yeah. Where can you purchase good quality copper rods, and do you teach? Yeah, absolutely. There's some videos online, and I'll once I get settled next week when we get down there, we will put up. I'll do another one. I'll do a Zoom so we can all get on there together. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not worried about any harp. I'm not even worried about 5G. Nothing worries me anymore, because if it's not, as Norma always says, if it's not in my field, it doesn't exist. And so when we don't attach something to something else, then it's not in your reality, which can be quite beautiful. So Ellen's asking, what do you mean about adding copper wire to the bed? So you can get a grounding wire. You can buy them you can make one, or you can buy them. It's a grounding wire that goes in the ground, that's copper. And then you take a skinny wire and you run it and tape it underneath your bed, literally with like duct tape. Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Teal Creel's here. Awesome. Good to see you. Yeah. And Amazon has copper rods. So I like these ones. You can use steel. I went through a couple pairs. The other pair I had kind of fell apart, but this one's been a good one. I like the handle, right? And so you can play with it. So we can chat about that. And they're like, I don't know, you can get them for $20-$25 Canadian, approximately. Yeah, absolutely. Laura asks a question. Why do I attract bees every time I go outside? Your frequency.
Jupiter.
Jupiter?
Mhm.
Speak more to that, please.
Oh, wow. For every planet that's in the sky, there's a connection. Okay. And, you know, I tell you what, if you haven't went and watched it, I'll just speak to this. Go watch the movie Jupiter Ascending.
Mm.
Okay. Because it speaks to that. And what it is there's a particular frequency that you put off that the bees are attracted to. Okay. And that has to do with understanding your connection to the planets, what they stand for, how they affect you. Because, like I said, for every organ you have in the body is connected to a planet. Okay. And when you understand that astrology, astronomy, they play a huge, significant role in understanding what the body actually represents, because that is a reflection of what the body is capable of. What the body is a reflection of the beauty in the process of what the organs do.
Yeah.
Because we are alchemists. We're the original alchemist. We take something, we put it in our mouth. We spoke to this before. We take something, we put it in our mouth. It's light. It is us. It is not different than what we are made up of. But the thing that we have that most, the greatest thing that we have is the way that we alchemize what we put within us. Okay. Because that's why I say it's always important to understand that the reason why they even came up with systems for us to use the restroom in is because they took us out of the natural process of giving back from what we was taking. So that's the reason why the alchemical process that we partake in, because we are creative beings, what we take in, we must give back. But that will come in time as you understand that to give back, you must give back with the fullness of a gratitude, of the level of understanding that you have of self, because then you stop separating yourself from everything. The chair you're sitting in, it's you. The food you take in is you. The table at which I sit at, it's me. I cannot see myself separate from it. I may not be at the level of being able to see it through the third eye the way that I know that it can be seen. But I've seen enough to understand that this table that I am sitting at, it moves. It moves because it expands and it constricts. Fire, water, the two most coarsest elements in the elements that we are made up of. Okay. And that's another totally different topic itself. Okay, y'all. Like Tanya says, I sit and I take in information. And in that information, I come to a greater understanding of how all this works, how all this comes together. When you in with my travels, what she's speaking to is I'm traversing both worlds. I'm going to this higher state of being to gather the information from there, because there's information there too to bring back, to understand the knowledge of it, to find the wisdom to embody it, to know how to utilize it here. It's fun. It's beautiful, because then as you do that, your perspective changes and you can't see anything separate from yourself. So it's a beautiful process to understand that everything we do has a purpose, has a meaning. You are the purpose and the meaning. You are purposeful. And in that, you must always have meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. Cindy's asking about the mosquito. That was beautifully said. Everyone's loving it. Is that why mosquitoes bite me but not others around me? That's more of a blood. I equate that more to specific blood types, and actually it has to also do with what you eat. Some people are sweeter than others. Right? And so, and for me, it depends. So I can be the one getting bitten, or I can be the one not getting bitten. So it's like, like if Jade's with me, she'll get bit more than me. So I think it just depends on that one. Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. All right. I wanted to show, here is some copper wire you could use for grounding. This one's quite thin, and then this one's a little thicker. And so you literally could just get a bit of copper, and you could put this in the ground and then run some under the bed as well. So yeah. Okay. And that will help to ground you at night if you feel you need to be grounded more. That just depends, right? I don't need it because I don't need to be grounded more. But again, to remember too, as you wake up, as Norma was saying, with that gratitude, like, thank you, body. Have a good rest. And I always stretch, and then I do a bunch of tapping and getting, copper bracelet works well too. A bunch of tapping to get my lymph nodes going, to wake up my body, to say hello to my body. And I do a bunch of like moves, which, activate my body per se. So what we will do is we will do some of those little videos around that. If anybody has any last minute questions, we're just going to button up for the day. Feel free to watch it again. And Bob's saying sometimes when he's in bed, it's so quiet he can hear Morse code. Yeah.
I hear music.
Yeah. Yes. All the time. You're like, are you playing this song? I'm like, no. Yeah. Can I use a potted plant to stick the wire in? Since it would certainly help. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bob's being a comedian today. I love it. Yeah. So specific tapping and activation. So what do we do with the body to get them going? Oh, look, Cindy hears music too. Awesome. We love you guys so much. Absolutely. We're so grateful that you all here. I do drink out of a copper vessel. We have a jug downstairs that gets filled up and then used for specific things. I do not drink out of a copper vessel full time, because one thing you don't want is too much copper. Yeah. Everything is about balance. I also have selenite in another jug of water that gets used occasionally as well. And selenite is good for the cells too. Like literally, because it'll dissolve in water. That's one way to get water in. Yeah. Bob says, I don't know about most Morse code, but we'll try and figure it out. Yeah. Ask them to communicate in a way that you can understand. Yeah. And we will continue this game and story with you guys, and this adventure for connection. So again, remember to like the video and share with people that you might think will enjoy it, right? And if you're on Facebook, we'd love you to come over to the Adventures for Connection page and like it, or Instagram. They're both on there. And then, of course, yeah, that's right, Ellen Selenite. And we love you very much. Norma, parting words?
Go have fun.
Go have fun.
You. Yeah. Whatever you're doing is go have fun. Go find out who you are. I bet you're going to be surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. What makes you tick? Which makes your soul sing? And go do more of that. For me, it's the singing little jiggies and every little cell song, like just little things that'll shift my mood like that. Because, you remember emotions are just energy in motion. Emotions are energy in motion. It's not a fact. You don't have to grab onto it and go, oh, I am this and start claiming it, right? We want to make sure that we don't do that. That would be very important. So, absolutely. All right, you guys, have a fabulous night. We love you very much again. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow with David. We're going to play with David. We're going to play with David. It's always fun to play with